Welcome back to another episode of the Blitz the Bookie podcast. I'm Charlie Winkle, joined as always by Anthony Roberts, and it is week 12 of college football, week 11 of the NFL. This week we will get into all the action from last week. Indiana stays unbeaten. Miami upset by Georgia Tech to derail their undefeated season. The Steelers keep winning. The Lions keep winning. And we will talk about the two games that I know that Anthony wants to talk about. BYU survives a scare late on Saturday night, and Sunday, the greatest football team to ever walk the face of this earth, the Kansas City Chiefs, do it again. They find a way to get it done again, but we will ask the real question that everybody wants to know. Who is cheating and who is not?
Yes, sir. Been waiting for this.
And me and Anthony have debated whether to talk about this. And I think a lot of people joke about it and mess around about it. But what do people really think about it? What do we think about it? We'll talk about it. Probably going to piss some people off. Do we care? Probably not as much as we should. But we're going to discuss it. Been wanting to, and I think it's a hot topic, so we're going to talk about it. And don't forget, Friday night, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson in what's supposed to be a fight, but I'm not sure it's exactly going to be a fight. But I hope it is, because I hope Tyson knocks his freaking block off.
I believe it when they actually fight. I don't even think the fight. I think it should be even money. The fight don't even happen.
I'm not sure what to think about it. I know you said you might put some money on it. I would highly suggest not doing that. Because if you think anybody's cheating, they're probably cheating.
Sure, that's why I bet Jake Paul.
Before we get started, guys, of course, like always, thank you all for listening. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Check us out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And check us out on the Blitz the Bookie Facebook and TikTok pages. This episode is brought to you by Tig-O Biddies, the best booby bar in all of the Midwest. Welcome to Tig-O Biddies, where the drinks are cold and the dancers are hot, where the cover charge is cheap but the ladies are not. Whether you're celebrating, commiserating, or just avoiding your in-laws, Tig-O Biddies has you covered. Come for the show, stay for the blow. What do you think she meant by blow? Stay for the blow. That could mean a lot of things.
It can mean a lot of things.
It could mean a couple different things.
Yeah, she gave us the VIP tickets for this weekend. So,
dude, I could not have a more fun for our first advertiser. It's a fun read. Tig-O Biddies talking about strippers and shit.
We were able to get us a new computer with the money. So, I mean, that's pretty awesome. Things are moving up here around here with Blitz.
I could not believe Best Buy took all them ones.
Yes. So I don't think they can say no, Charlie.
Oh, it was a lot of ones. Before we get started with all the football stuff, here in Kentucky, it is basketball season. College basketball is officially back. Had a bunch of good games over the past week. Kansas beats North Carolina. Auburn beats Houston. Tennessee destroys U of L. That was fun. Baylor beats Arkansas. But the game of the week, the game of the year so far, Duke versus Kentucky in the Champions Classic. Kentucky beats Duke 77-72. It was the battle between the new look team with a new head coach, with all the uncertainty about how much talent do we got, how good are we going to be, versus the big bad Duke team with the great recruiting class, with the most hyped number one recruit in a long, long time, Cooper Flagg. And in the end, the new guy, Mark Pope, the Pope,
the captain,
makes some big-time halftime adjustments that, honestly, Kentucky fans just haven't seen in a long time. And they got the job done. I thought it was masterful, whatever he did at halftime. I actually texted a few people and said, let's see what he's got at halftime. Let's see what kind of adjustments he makes. And, man, I thought it was great. But, I'm sure we'll get into, kind of breaking down the game a little bit, see how it, how it all played out. But, Anthony, this win, I think, is more than just the third win of the season. It's more
Sure.
than a win versus a top 5 team. It's more than just a win versus Duke. I think it's like a changing of the guard
Sure.
for the UK program and the fans.
Sure. But do remember, and I'm super stoked about Pope. Cal did not get judged on his regular season. He got judged on his postseason. He had a lot of good regular seasons, even at the end. It was his postseason performance, which
I get it. Look, like I said, I think it's just more than just about a win. This is more of just like a revival of the UK program.
I agree with that.
I think it gave a little bit of indication to the fans on how they've been feeling the last 2 or 3 years. Not so much, I mean, yeah, it's about Cal, but it's more to me about just getting back to Kentucky basketball. And I feel like that game last night was prototypical Kentucky basketball as we know it as Kentucky fans. And when I say Kentucky basketball, you know, I just mean great coaching, great energy, respecting the name across your chest. A coach that knows what it takes here. And I'm not saying Cal didn't, but Pope is one of us. He is one of us.
See, I look at Cal as one of us too. Like I'm all about the energy and like moving forward. But to me, Cal carried himself way too well here. Did too many great things here. I can't forget those things. To me, I looked at it the other day. His first seasons, they were awesome. He got his last 3 seasons where he was out in the first round, second round, and first round. That's what got him the hatred with fans. There were some fans that hated him from day go. There was fans that got mad at him after having a 38-1 season. But to me, that's where it is. Cal will always be a Kentucky Wildcat to me. But I'm super excited about Pope. I'm super excited about the changing of the guard. I think that's a fair statement. And I do think Kentucky fans are super excited about kind of getting back to what it was. But, you know, Cal, even those last 3 years, had a lot of great seasons. But it was his tournament runs that there were some people who just had it out from Cal from the beginning. And that's
this ain't about Cal though.
I get it.
This is
but we
about
can't,
Kentucky.
But we can't put Cal down.
I didn't put Cal down not one time.
A few times you said, well, there was some coaching, there was some, getting Kentucky back, and he's one of us. I think Cal is one of us.
Cal is not one of us.
I think he is.
No.
I think
he's not one of us.
I think
now when he comes back 10 or 15 years from now, look, I love Cal. You know I've always been a Cal supporter. But this...
Why isn't he one of us? He was here over 10 years, did a lot of great things here, has success here, carried himself well. I mean, I think he is one of us.
This ain't about Cal right now.
Okay.
This is about Kentucky getting back to Kentucky. The only thing I could think about Cal last night is just I could not help myself. But in the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game, I'm sitting there thinking, man, Cal's sitting on his couch right now, just crying.
I think there's too many Kentucky fans rooting against Cal right now.
I was one of the, if not the biggest Cal supporter out there. You can ask multitude of my friends that I supported Cal all the way down to the end.
You should have, in my opinion.
I was dogging some of my friends that were calling for Cal's head 2 and 3 years ago. I want him to lose every game at Arkansas. Doesn't have anything to do with the way I think of him.
Sure.
I think Cal's a great guy. I think he did great things for Kentucky. Some of the best years that we've ever had at Kentucky. No doubt. I mean, no doubt. We almost went undefeated. We won a championship. We had multiple Final Fours, all that. It's not about Cal. I'm not a Cal hater. I actually still like Cal. But right now, and while he's a coach, especially in the SEC, I want him to lose every single game. And I hope he was at home last night on his couch crying, because Cal could have still been the coach here. He chose to leave.
Yeah, but he got ran. I think he did us a favor by leaving.
He absolutely did.
And I don't mean it in a negative way.
In the end, he chose to leave. We were not firing him.
Yeah, I mean, but
he made a big mistake by going and doing what he did with the meeting with Arkansas.
Okay, but let me tell you, they're doing the same things as Stoops right now, and Stoops won't be fired, but he will be, but he very well could be pushed out by our fans. Our fans are ruthless, dude. I wrote something down about, how Coach K 3 different times since the 90s and now had back-to-back years where he got put out in the first or second round. and still the greatest coach of all time. When Cal did one and done, it was the biggest problem in college basketball. When Coach K got on board, it was the new thing. I just feel like there was people when Cal was winning at the highest level here that you still didn't like him. There was a lot of those people. There was people calling for his head. We go to a Final Four.
Man, those people are idiots.
I think Kentucky fans sometimes are just unrealistic, and not all of them, but I just think some of them are. I just don't think they understand there are other teams trying to win. Cal didn't have a great budget. Pope's got double the NIL budget Cal has right now. I'm super excited
Cal
about
did that
Pope.
to himself.
He did it to himself.
He did it to himself. He alienated all of our top donors. That's his own dumbass fault. Look, again, I don't even want to make us into Cal because I didn't. I want this to be about Kentucky basketball because
it was a local radio host who had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, well, UK basketball is back as we know it.
I'm with that.
Whether you were on Cal side or whether you were not, you hopefully were still a Kentucky fan. And if you were one of those Kentucky fans that didn't like Cal and you stopped watching the games or whatever, then to me, you're not really a real Kentucky fan.
Amen.
Okay? If you're a Kentucky fan, you support whoever it is. If you like them, you like them. If you don't, you don't. You still support your team.
Yes.
But this is about this year's Kentucky Wildcats. I love what I saw, Anthony.
I did too.
Loved it. Started the game hot, 5 for 5 from 3. We saw real early how good of a shooting team we could be. And then real quick, we were 0 for our next 6. Struggled a little bit on defending the post, I feel like. Got in some foul trouble in the first half. Had like 3 or 4 guys with 2 fouls. Fought those last few minutes to stay in the game. I think we were down 9 at halftime. It stretched to 8 or 9. We were on the brink of being in trouble. But we fought to keep that game tight. And like I said at the beginning, Pope went into the locker room and made some big-time adjustments. And, again, I'm not trying to make this about Cal, but you did want to bring up the coaching. Anthony, we did not see halftime adjustments in the last few years.
Sure.
We did not see it.
I'm not saying we did, but there's other parts of the game besides just halftime adjustments.
just-
Recruiting, everybody wants to talk about recruiting. Recruiting is part of coaching. It just is.
I get that, but in game is a whole nother thing.
I agree with that. I
You
agree with
question
that.
why I said about the coaching, it's stuff like that. I don't think Cal's a bad
We
coach.
got a long ways to
Love
go.
Cal.
We got a long ways to go. When you shoot that many threes, you live and die by the 3. You heard us saying
we won the game, and
I
we
get
only
it.
made 1 3 in the last 9 or 10 minutes of the
Yeah,
game.
but that kept us in it early. They didn't shoot good either. They only shot 17% from threes. I'm not saying
they
that's
had
bad.
they had their way with us in the first half.
Sure.
Pretty much wherever they wanted to be.
Sure.
I do like the fact that we only hit 1 3
I do
towards the
too.
end of that game
I
and
do
still
too.
figured out a way to win that game.
I agree with that.
Just the fact that Pope could have these guys as ready as they were to play that team. Duke is a really good team.
Sure.
It's not just Cooper Flagg, and Cooper Flagg is really good. He's really good.
Duke could be a really good team at the end of the year.
They're going to be good.
Yeah.
It's not just Cooper Flagg, though. They're
They got a
loaded.
good ball
The
club.
other boy, Nipple or Knipple or whatever.
Yeah.
I felt like I was going to be hearing Knipple in my dreams last night as many times as Bill has said it. But those guys are good.
They're good.
They got a really good roster. Our bench outscored them by a lot. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but our bench outscored their bench by 20 to 5 or something like that.
And watching the game, I felt like we had a lot of, you want to call them grown men, whatever, but you had a lot of veteran college basketball players, and you could see it. I mean, I feel like we were just right out of the gate. I feel like we're ready to go right now. I wish the tournament was right now because I think our boys are already in midseason form right now. I really do. Can they improve on that? I hope so. Because if they can, they'll be a really scary team. I guess playing a little devil's advocate, I would, do we have a very high ceiling compared to what we are now? Because I think we're really good right now because we got a lot of the upperclassmen, experienced guys. Can a team like Duke, that has younger guys, do they get better as the season goes on? Them were just things that are going through my mind. Guys, I'm not saying one negative word, but I just want to be careful to not get too excited in that sense, and watch everything develop and just see how.
Get excited, dude. Get excited. We beat Duke.
What was the point spread on that game?
It was 6. I had the -6 and I had the money line. So
+6, correct?
+6. Yeah, it was +6 and the money line was +195 right around game time. So that's what I got it at. almost 2-1 in that game. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But look, like I said, we're coming in just seeing 2 games against subpar competition. So it was hard to tell what we were going to be. The talent, how much talent do we really have? I think we got a really good team, but Duke had a lot more talent than we did.
We got a lot of talent. I feel like we got a lot of talent. You don't feel like
No, I do. But that Duke team is probably the most talented team in the country.
Yeah, they got some talent.
They're good. They're good. I just love it, man. Anthony, I love everything about it. I love that it's just the feel, man. The feel, just something about Pope being an ex-Kentucky player.
I get that. I get that. I just don't like to alienate Cal. I feel like a lot of that's going on right now.
Fuck Cal.
I hear you. I hear you.
It's Pope, baby.
I hear
it's
you.
Pope.
I'm
gonna ask you this.
I'm not into that.
I know. I've already asked you. I'm just saying, fuck Cal for right now on this episode that we're talking.
I got you.
It's not about Cal. It's about us. It's about us, and the new us is without Cal.
Sure,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
So I know I asked you this, I think this weekend, but I'm gonna go ahead and ask you on here.
Right.
If Mark Pope wins here at Kentucky, and when I say wins, obviously, that means wins a championship, handful of Final Fours. Will he be the most beloved coach we've ever had if he wins a title?
Wins one title or wins
one title? Just wins a title.
Beloved or
say in the next, say he coaches here for 10 years, and he lasts 10 years, and he makes, let's say, 3 Final Fours and wins a title.
Beloved, him or Rupp?
Yeah, I mean,
him or Rupp.
It's tough. It's a tough call because Rupp, and so is Joe B. Hall, man.
He is, but Joe B. just didn't coach long enough. He was an assistant under Rupp.
Yeah, but he was around a lot afterwards.
He was. He was an assistant under Rupp. So yeah, Joe B.
He played for Rupp. Didn't he?
Yep. So yeah, Joe B. was very popular. Of course, you got Benedict Arnold, aka Rick Pitino, and then you got Cal, which there's love and hate both ways on that.
Look, 15 to 20 years from now, Cal will absolutely be beloved, and he'll get a huge. Matter of fact, the way Kentucky fans are and the way this world is, we saw it with Rick Pitino. It could happen in 2-3 years. Who knows? But I'm just saying, Cal is, he did his thing here, and he is. I would say he's. I wouldn't use the word beloved for Cal.
Yeah.
But I do think that if Mark Pope wins a title here, I think he'll easily be the most beloved coach here. I think it'd be just super special for the program, just making it even more special with a former player heading the show. I just think it's awesome.
I will say this. I do think that Mark Pope he is one of the handful of coaches that has the resources with Kentucky's NI on their collective now, but B, understands, like I've told you, I think things have changed in college basketball. There for a long time, I know a lot of our fans hated it, but the one and done was working for a while. It just was. And there's different stages that are working at different points, but the one and done was working. Coach K even started copying it because it was working. It wasn't an issue then with the rest of the country. That's some issues I have, but the one and done was working, and then it wasn't working. Now it's the transfers and getting the grown men per se to come in and mixing that up, and that's definitely what's working right now in college basketball. And I feel like Pope is one of those handful of coaches that really figured that out early. Now, as things always evolve and things always change, will that stay a big advantage for him? Will everybody else kind of catch up? He's definitely brought in, and he's ahead of the game with what's going on right now. You just feel like he's kind of a newer age coach in a sense, and you got the old guard, the guys like Cal, Coach K. I think that's why some of the older guard in football and basketball is retiring, like the Sabans, like the Coach Ks. I think they know things are changing, and
they don't want nothing to do with the NIL
because they just know.
Jay Wright did it.
I don't think none of them like it. I don't even think the new guys like it. But they're young, and so they gotta like it if they want to be in the game. Look, there's going to be some changes to it. Everybody knows that. It's been talked about.
Now you're not just a coach; you're like a GM or something.
You're re-signing your team every year. Coach Stoops said that. He says you're re-signing your team every year. What you said be an advantage for Kentucky football. They were good with relationship building and getting recruits, getting transfers. Now it's all about show me the dollars. I mean, that's what I heard Dion say the other day. There's two parts to the NIL. He says there's collectives, and I'm not a big Dion fan as far as a coach, but as a player I was. But I thought what he said, it educated me a little bit and gave me an understanding. He says there's two different parts of that. There's NIL and there's collectives. He says, I don't have no problem with NIL. And whether we agree or not, that he's just explaining, I don't have no problem with NIL. NIL is player making his name once he gets there off name, image, and likeness. So that's, him coming there, having success, selling commercials, signing autographs. He says where his problem comes in is with the collectives. Collectives, pretty much, you're prepaying a player to come here. They're not earning nothing. Dion says he likes the idea of them earning their stuff and chasing the bigger bag, which is the NFL. But, playing a little bit counter to that, some of these guys ain't going to the NFL or NBA. And I think it's a lot of the guys Kentucky has, they're good college players, and they're trying to make as much money as they can right now. So they're putting themselves on the market. And I don't blame them either. But that's where Dion's saying there's two, the NIL and the collectives are two different things. So it educated me a little bit.
Yeah, it's a whole lot different when a kid's going out and making some money off his autograph than when, some rich donor is just saying, hey, here's $500,000 to come to our school.
Sure.
At least the kid, is doing something for the NIL money. I mean, he's going out, talking to the people, signing autographs, doing a commercial, doing whatever it is. You get that money handed to you like that. That's where the laziness comes from.
Well, they
just does
with the autographs and stuff. For you to get that opportunity, you probably had to produce on the field. So, like the collectives know, like some of these people are buying these rookies or freshmen or whatever, and some of them don't produce, and they're getting this money and not producing. And I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head. I know it in my own life, guys. When things like you're hungry, you finally make it, you finally get ahead. Not that you get lazy, but you just get
complacent.
You do, and I think that's human nature. Now, some people are able to fight through that, and that's the people that get wealthy. Though that's the people that make it to the NBA if you're a sports athlete. But man, it's just a different game, and I think that's why a lot of the old guard did retire, Charlie. And some of the old guards trying to fight it and figure it out. I think that's where Cal is. I do think he was trying to figure it out in his later years at Kentucky. He's not the only one. There's other coaches trying to figure it out too. And these young cats, they're all about it because they know that's the new age world. And so, where does all that come together? And as much as this is now, things with the way things are changing with NIL, 3 years from now, it could be totally different. It just could.
Yeah, so it's looking like it's going to be a fun college basketball season. We got a couple more good non-conference games coming up. We got at Clemson. Clemson was good last year, made a pretty good run in the tournament. I feel like they had a top seed, like not a 1 or 2, but I feel like Clemson was like a 3 or 4 seed last year. They went into the tournament really hot, made a run, and we're going to Clemson. So I think that's going to be probably, that'll be one of the biggest games they have all year. Of course, they'll play like the Duke and North Carolina, but they play Duke and North Carolina every year. Kentucky coming in to town, that'll be a hot ticket at Clemson. That'll be a tough atmosphere to play in. But we got them, and then we got Gonzaga back-to-back. And then, of course, we play Louisville like we always do. But some good non-conference games sprinkled in there the rest of the month. So should be fun. Looking forward to it. Love Mark Pope. Fuck Cal. Oh, Anthony loves Calipari and hates Patrick Mahomes.
I hate how our fans and we're not the only fans, but I just hate how they shit on people so quick, dude.
No bullshit. I love Cal, but I do hope he loses every game from while he's wearing that maroon. Hope he loses every damn game, and I hope he was sweating his ass off last night watching that. Going, damn.
You know what? As much as he's sweating that off, I bet you Kentucky fans are sweating him off when I bet you they are. I think you're right on that. I think you're absolutely right on that about him.
100%. 100% Cal was watching that game.
And 100% majority of Cal's haters are always clicking on Arkansas.
Yeah, I'm about to check on them right now because you know what? Right before we started this episode, I got a text saying Arkansas is losing at halftime to like fucking Colgate or something, dude. It'd have been a bunch of the same shit, Anthony. I loved Cal, supported him, but I'm so glad he's gone, dude.
We had really good
10.
we had really good regular seasons with Cal at the end. It's
They're
the
up
last
10
three
now.
seasons that got him ran off. You could put his first out besides those last three. You could put those up against anybody's numbers. Anybody's. It's his last 3 tournament runs that got him with the fans. There's some fans that hate him from the get-go.
Oh, I never hated him from the get-go. Arkansas is playing at home right now. They're playing Troy, and they're winning by 3. 41 to 38 with 11 minutes left. They have 41 points with 11 minutes left in the game, dude. We had 40 at halftime.
Yeah, but he coaches a different kind of game.
Yeah,
Terry.
well, I know he does. The stand around, pass around, and not do nothing.
Why was he so successful here then?
He was until he didn't change with the game. Then he started sucking, and we started losing.
The last 3 seasons, they were good seasons. We had bad tournament finishes.
We had 8, 9, 10 losses. Those are not good seasons.
I think the last 3 seasons, there was like 1 year that was just okay. The other 2 were pretty strong. The one time,
8 to 10 losses all 3 years.
I think
last 3 years.
I think one of the last 3 years we went in as the number 1 seed, if not the number 1 overall
Not
seed.
the last couple. Oh yeah, we were the number 2 seed when we lost to St. Peter's.
Yeah,
we were the number 2 seed, lost to St. Peter's.
dude. Any other school you tell them they're a 2 seed, they're loving it.
Actually, last year we might have. What were we last? We got beat by? Who we get beat by last? We got beat by so many bad teams at the end of the Cal area. I forgot who.
Boy got hot. The boy that hit 13 threes.
Right. Oakland.
I know the boy hit like 1,000,000 threes.
Yeah, he did. He was hitting from everywhere, but whatever. Cal lose every game. I hope. Who they playing? Who did I say they're playing? Colgate or some shit? I hope they lose tonight. I hope we hear about it.
I just don't understand the hate.
20 minutes. I hope I can say, yep, they just got beat by Troy. Same old, same old. All right, on to football. College football. 12-team playoff got changed up quite a bit, didn't it? I know Oregon's still number 1. I want to say the only really other thing I heard was Indiana at number 4. I don't even know who got 2 and 3. I'm saying, Ohio State and... So BYU must have fell out. BYU must have fell out because they were the 4, so they must have dropped down to a 5 or 6. I heard that Indiana got the 4.
6. No, Indiana's the 5.
So who's the 4? Is it still BYU? Or
Penn State,
okay.
and then BYU is 6. I'm looking at the...
See, I like that so much better. BYU, I told you. There was no way BYU is going to be a top 4.
Listen,
they can stay undefeated all they want. They will not get a top 4 seed and get a bye. There's no way.
I will say this. I will absolutely say this. I don't have no problem with Indiana there, but until I buy, I gotta see they either gotta beat Ohio State or play them really close.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah, we are. No doubt.
We're gonna find out next week.
I think I'll be honest with you. I don't think they're the number 5 team. I don't think BYU's the number 6 team. I think I heard a lot of analysts on TV talking. They saying, well, the BYU's not getting respect because they got 0, or SMU's not getting respect. I don't think who's getting respect is some of these SEC teams with the schedules they're playing. I mean, as good as the Big Ten is, and I actually like a couple of the Big Ten teams a lot. Ohio State, I think, is maybe one of the best. I think them in Texas are the best teams in the country. I think they're top heavy. In the SEC, man, I think if you put a team like Tennessee or Texas A&M or Ole Miss, you put them in another conference, they'd be. The SEC schedules are crazy right now. Crazy, and they're beating each other. BYU and Indiana, no way. I really think Ohio State, I don't think they'll dominate them because I think that guy's a good coach, but I think they'll beat them in control. We'll talk about BYU later.
I'm not jumping off of Indiana.
I got you.
They're
a good team.
I bet on them, so I lost. They didn't cover. But I'm not jumping off of them. I'm not. Michigan was the best defense they've seen so far.
The only defense they've seen so far.
It is, but hey.
That's right. You only play
I'm not jumping off of them. Do I think
either.
they're top 4 or 5? Probably not. They probably top 10, but I've been on them. I'm going to try to stick with them. I want to cheer for them against Ohio State. I know they'll probably get rolled, but I do want to cheer for them big time. I want to cheer for Indiana in that game. All right, so last week, as we've already stated, Indiana stays undefeated. They beat Michigan 20-15. It was a lot closer than anything Indiana's been used to this year.
Not to interrupt you, I just wanted to touch on one thing before we got into our recap. They made a good point on the college football playoff show. What's going to be really interesting is when some of those northern teams got those home games and some of the southern teams have to travel north in the winter. That usually never happens. Usually the bowl games are in warm places. You don't see many big-time playoff games in cold weather. It could be snow. I think that's so cool.
I told you.
I think it's
Football
so
changes
cool.
in November and December.
It does.
It changes.
It does. I like that. They made that point.
This
I like
playoff
that.
is going to be so much fun.
Awesome.
Dude.
It's already getting fun because there's essentially playoff games going on right now.
Every week it seems like there's a playoff game. We could probably find one this. I'm not sure if we can or not, but there was one or two last week. I felt like.
Yeah. Oh, there is. Georgia and Tennessee. It's a playoff game. It's lose and you're in rough shape.
Yep. So Miami loses 28-23 to Georgia Tech.
Frauds.
Yeah, they're frauds. Just really good offense, but they weren't a complete team.
They're in the playoff right now.
They are.
I'd love to draw them if I was a team.
What number are they at right
9.
now? Texas looked really good. Beat the shit out of Florida. I know they were on their 5th quarterback, but Texas, just forget about Florida for a second. Texas looked really good.
They did.
They looked the best they've looked in a handful of weeks. Ewers was great. I just felt like Texas got back right kind of in groove where they felt like they needed to be because they were rolling early. I felt like they slowed down a little bit there for a few weeks, but man, they were hitting on all cylinders last week because every time I looked up, there was another touchdown score.
They were rolling.
Yeah. Georgia loses to Ole Miss. Bama rolls LSU. Those were 2 big games.
Yes.
Neither one of them were really close.
Mm-mm.
Ole Miss and Bama just, looked like they dominated really most of the game.
Georgia has offensive problems. Their defense is still good. Ole Miss is really starting to hit stride right now. They were the big talk of the season coming into the season, and maybe they didn't have the best start. In saying that, I like where Ole Miss is right now. I think they're a dark horse. I think they could win it. Like some of these teams in it, I think they can make some noise in the tournament. I don't think they're good enough to win it. Teams like maybe Clemson or whoever, Indiana. I think Ole Miss, they got in. I think they could win it. I think they're good enough to win it. Their defense is good. Their offense
is real good.
And I think they're getting better at the right time. To me, you never want to peak early. They're getting good at the right time. My main future I have is Texas. I probably think Ohio State's the best team. But I got Texas at almost 7-1. I took them. I'm glad I did. They're down to 3.5-1 now. I got a little bit on Ohio State. I actually got Alabama 19-1. They're 8-1 right now. I feel like that's a nice little bet. I don't got a lot on them, but I got enough to win me a nice little money and cover my bets plus win some. But Texas is my main bet who I'm rooting for. I do still think it's Ohio State's the best team. But in this playoff scenario, I think there's probably 5 or 6 teams that legitimately can win it.
It's going to be so much fun. When does the playoffs start?
I would say not too long after the regular season. I would say not too long after. I'll look it up.
It's got to be either right before Christmas, or right after Christmas. They can't take. I feel like
December 20th.
December 20th.
Yep, that'd be awesome,
dude. It's gonna be so much fun.
Christmas week.
I cannot wait for that shit. That's gonna be fun. I feel like I've been waiting for it for 2-3 years. Ever since they announced it, man, I've been like, when's it coming? I remember last year, leading up about a month or two before the college football season, I could have swore it was last year. And then somebody told me, no, it's next year. I was so disappointed.
I guess they're going to play every weekend until it's over, January 20th.
That's good stuff.
Oh, man. That's just how we're off for Christmas week. And that probably most people will take off till not that Monday, but the next. So we'll have 2 weeks. Gosh. Oh, I love it. I love college football, guys. I love it.
We need to find our way to Vegas in January like I normally do. I haven't booked it yet. All right, and the last game of the night, BYU survives the scare. I didn't watch any of this game.
Cheating.
But I started getting text from a certain somebody after the game was over, and it was kind of like, F this, F that. These MRFers cheat. Those MRFers cheat.
Go watch it. That's all I'll say. You don't have to take my word for it. Go watch the end of the game. Go watch the holding call that was going to end the game. You go watch it. You tell me what you think.
I didn't see it, so I'll have to go back and look at it myself.
It's bad. The game was over. It was literally not kind of over. It was over. It was 4th down. It was over.
Well, let's just go ahead and get into it. We said we were going to talk about the cheating. I kind of wanted to, give you a little jab about Kansas City, but you were talking about the cheating thing with the BYU. We've been talking about this for a long time. So what do you think?
Okay.
Let's just equate this to the BYU game. Explain. So what was, you said it was a holding call?
Okay, so it's a holding call. Let me start off. Let me just give a quick rundown, and we'll jump right into the BYU of why I think there's cheating. Okay, listen, I'm not some conspiracy theorist guy. That's not me. I like to work in facts. I like to work in logic. That's just who I am. I try to analyze things. I try to figure things out myself. That's just who I am. That's my personality. My common sense tells me that college football players, especially the ones that aren't going to the pro, why wouldn't they try to set up a game? They have very little to lose and a lot to gain. You play for Eastern Kentucky, the NFL games are all being watched by everybody.
You got to pick on the Kentucky teams. Make it like Eastern
Missouri.
Missouri.
Whoever it is.
Well, Kentucky teams do not cheat.
But whoever it is, just makes. If I was in college, I would have done it. I might do it now if I was back in college. It would be too easy. You get a couple guys together on a team, maybe a quarterback, a DB. So I try to put myself in their position. Then in college age, and now I think both times I probably would have, and I consider myself a good person. So I absolutely think college players cheat. There's no doubt in my mind. The reason I know they are is because they don't never catch nobody. And they don't want to catch nobody. Because if that ever went public, it would kill the cash cow is what gambling is of today. So in saying that, now NFL I've always had questions because those guys make so much money. But do they get to the coaches? Do they get to the officials? I've heard a lot of different areas of that. But I'm a little bit more skeptical of that. But in saying that, I'd read a thing, Charlie, and I shared it with you and a local radio show guy. He talked about it too, that in the month of October, the Vegas or the sports book, it ain't just Vegas no more, but the sports books in general took a bloodbath in the month of October. They just did. It's on their win-loss spreadsheets. It's out. In October, there was a couple weeks where favorites won a lot of games, and they took a bloodbath. So in saying that, here we come into November. Been telling people, guys, watch the underdogs. Watch the underdogs. They're going to try to get their money back. More people bet favorites, just the way it's always been. Well, sure enough, the underdogs start winning. Sure enough, funny things start happening. Look, I think I'm on a team that I've caught on to. I've been looking, I'm trying to figure it out because I'm trying to get on the winning side of it. I think Oregon is point shaving, flat out. I think they're point shaving. I do. I have 3 or 4 examples of this year. I think they do it when they're a big favorite. And then when they come back and play a team they're scared of, they'll roll them. They only got 300 yards of offense against a bad Maryland defense. They put up 500 yards on Ohio State, 500 yards up on Illinois, 500 yards up on the other good defense they played. I forget who it was. So, and then you got the situation where, like with the Utah game, going back to where you said there, it was 4th down. And that was a situation where if BYU lost the Big 12, they might not have had a team in the championship, or they might not have had the team they wanted, or, maybe BYU was in on it. But for you to call that holding call as an official, if you go back and look at it, you had to be trying to make that call, guys.
What was it, holding on the offensive line?
No, on a receiver, on a DB. I mean, you had to be trying. It was, look, everybody that watched it knows it wasn't. The athletic director made a big hoo-wow after the game, which you never see. Look, Coach Willingham, very well-respected coach in college football. Everybody speaks very highly of him, a veteran coach. He lost his mind. He was saying stuff after. I mean, the guy is out of character for him. He don't do that kind of stuff. They definitely, just all throughout college football, even the NFL, Goff had 5 picks. They still win the game, but don't cover by half a point. The Kansas City stuff.
All right, so let's back up.
Okay.
Let's break this down a little bit. All right. So you believe that high-level Division I football teams would shave points or
Absolutely.
Yeah, high level, like Oregon. Oregon is ranked
Yes.
number 1 in the country, and you're telling me that you think that they're point shaving.
On big point spreads. Yes, I do. I think it's too tempting.
So who do you believe? And then, look, I'm not grilling you. I'm trying to get your perspective on this. Who do you believe is in charge of that? The head coach, Dan Lanning?
No, I think they get. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
I know, and I'm not trying to grill you.
No,
here.
I'm not.
Just
No, I
asking,
had
trying to see where you're coming from.
So I've been trying to figure
So
it
that
out.
would be Dan Lanning going into the game thinking, look, I'm going to do this or do that. Would there be a reason like his mother-in-law or father-in-law bet on the game? Or
No.
is he just doing it to do it? Or
So I think
is the athletic director telling him to do it? Or is Vegas telling him to do it?
I think Vegas.
So Vegas calls up Dan Lanning on the phone and he looks at his phone and says, Vegas calling.
No, so this is what I think could happen. I don't know, but I think this is what could happen. I think a lot of these teams, I think one of the plays, the easiest play for a team to cheat, and I think it's what Oregon has done. I think it's when they're big favorites. It's their big favorite. They don't have to lose the game.
But what would they be getting out of it?
They bet the game.
The AD or the big boosters or
or
something? I guess maybe
or,
that would be it. The boosters, big time
or
boosters at
not-
Oregon are
so
telling them, hey, don't cover 21.
No, not just that, but Vegas.
I could get online with that. I'm just trying to see.
No, so then Vegas, okay, so Vegas, sometimes the money is shrewd one way. So
you're never going to convince me that Vegas is.
Oh, yes.
Vegas is
yes.
good. So
yes.
you're telling me that people in Vegas, like whoever it is, they're picking up the phone and they're calling
They have connections. They get through to these players a certain way. Yes, I absolutely think that happened. Like they took that bloodbath, okay, in October. They get a lot of money. There was 2 or 3 games on Saturday night. It was like 95% of the money was on BYU. 95% of the money was on Air Force and another Tennessee, and none of those teams covered. And I'm not just saying, look, coincidence has happened, but it was like I was expecting it, then I seen it, then I already thought it in my mind. I've seen teams twice against Oregon this year punt the ball away with 3 minutes to go, being down
the Maryland
by
thing.
17 or
Pissed me
20
off.
points, and
But now you're telling me Maryland's in on it. Then.
no, so who I think could be in on it, I think the officials could be in on it, making some play calls. I wonder if the coaches are in on it, maybe giving them their calls at certain times, or just not being as aggressive, or maybe they get a hold of a quarterback or receiver. You really have to get in there and study. But listen, I just do it. For me, college players, I would then as a college age person, and maybe even now, and I consider myself a good person, guys. I'm a dad. I'm responsible. But if I seen everybody else making all this money, NIL money and stuff, I would try. I think I would. And I think what happens is when they catch them, this is why I know they cheat, because nobody gets caught. Vegas does not. If this was to come out, it'd be horrible.
Oh, it would.
It would be horrible. And to me, at least they've caught some. But you don't even hear about it. You try to Google it. Just try to Google it. It's like they've scrubbed the internet of it. They don't want it nowhere. Nobody wants to talk about it because everybody's in bed with DraftKings in Vegas.
I agree with that.
It's you can't tell me a college age kid, 21 years old, if given an opportunity to make $300,000 or $400,000, and they're the kids that are not going to the NFL, that'll be selling insurance next year, that they're not going to take a chance to make $400,000?
It'd be hard to turn away.
Impossible.
It'd be hard to turn away. All right, so here's my thoughts on it. NFL,
Be hard.
NFL players, look, I'm not going to say it, and I don't think it has ever happened or ever does, but I think it's less than 1%.
But why is it not talked about, though? Like, I agree with
I'm
what
just
you're-
saying NFL players.
Sure, but I agree with
do
you.
not think NFL players would shave points, cheat a game. Now, I'm not saying there's a
But you
one in a
agree.
million,
But you agree that there. I agree with what you're saying. I really do. But you do agree that there's at least some that, like, there's probably a very low percentage, but there's
Well, that's what I just said.
at least one or two a year.
That's what I'm
Why
saying.
ain't them guys ever talked about? Why is it never talked about?
Look, I think in the NFL, I think it's very, very low. I would put it under 1% that players are involved in any type of cheating / point shaving or any of that. I find it hard to believe.
Why? Let me ask one question, and this is nothing towards what you said. It's really not, because I kind of agree with that. why is it when you Google it online, and I have, and that's why I know, dude, you don't really find like they.
Well, I mean, nothing's happened late.
Yeah, but they don't even like. There's
years,
not even like. There's no articles like questioning or nothing. And this is being talked about in circles all over.
Well, because you hit it on the head, Anthony. Most of these people are in bed with DraftKings, FanDuel, and all. And
if they start paying us, we won't be able to talk about it no more.
Exactly. Hey, DraftKings, you want to come give us money? We'll shut the hell up. I promise you that.
We might have somebody show up at our door tomorrow.
Like I said, do we care? Not as much as we probably should. But if they want to call us and say they'll sponsor the show along with Tig-O Biddies, then we'll shut the hell up real quick and won't say another word about it. I promise you that, DraftKings. But until then, I like the conversation.
Do you feel like it's being talked about? I do.
No.
I'm trying to come with receipts with mine, so I'm trying to look at it. I feel like a lot of people. So I hate it. I'm gonna tell you what I hate, Charlie. I hate when like people just wildly say it. Like okay,
well,
like,
everybody does it when their team gets beat.
I hate that. I hate that.
Well, you do it.
I know. I do. But I also come back to you and I say that's me just running my mouth.
I know.
And no, I do. But why I hate that for is because I like for example, like that kick got blocked. They didn't cheat there. They just blocked the kick. Now they might have kept the game close before that.
Go ahead. I'll say it.
But I just hate when the wild like things come out, like and people just say like stuff without having receipts, because to me, you lose credibility to them. Like if you have a good argument, like trying to accuse them of cheating, and then all these people come out and just say silly things which don't even make sense or just are a far stretch, then that whole argument kind of loses steam or credibility, because then they'll say, man, y'all just crazy. But to me, I'm trying to look at real stuff I've seen with my own eyes in the field. Just the feel I get as I'm watching these games, I'm expecting them to try to get their money back. And I got a weird feeling from all the games last week. I just did. I got a weird feeling from all the games. I thought even the Rams played very sloppy on Monday night against Miami. I just felt like... And that ain't the only game.
Just be a sloppy game?
No, it can. But I expected it to see it, and I seen it all across the board, like with different little things.
That's the thing, though. Anytime something weird
I've
happens,
seen that multiple times.
Anytime something weird happens now, anytime there's a bad call, anytime there's a crazy ending to a game, people are yelling, "Oh, it was rigged!" Oh,
see, that's the part of it I don't like. That's the part of it I don't like.
It's like every game that is close at the end.
I agree.
It was rigged,
but I don't like that.
I can't stand it.
I don't like it because I also think that makes people lose credibility with arguments I'm trying to make. Because, yes, you're right. And if somebody keeps saying that, then nobody's going to listen, because it's going to come to the point where they're like, man, you say that all the time. But I'm telling you guys, I'm seeing stuff. And then I use myself for example. If I was a college, I'm a dad. I consider myself a really good person. Not a perfect person. None of us are perfect. But I consider myself a good person, good friend, pretty honest person. I think of myself at college age, definitely would have done it. Definitely would have done it. I think of myself now as a 42-year-old man. I think I would still do it. I do. Let me ask you a question, Charlie. Right now, as a 42-year-old man, if you were in college, you were the comeback quarterback of a decade, old man, and you know you weren't going to the NFL, senior year, you're not playing for a really big school, you're just playing a regular conference game, and then somebody offers you $300,000 to just throw a couple picks, a couple fumbles. Not maybe, yes or no. Would you do it right at your age right now? Not college age. I know you would have done it.
Right now,
yeah.
I would say no, because I have 42 years worth of wisdom and morals and stuff, and I would go I would live by my morals. But at college, almost surely I probably would have, dude.
And you tell me, I'm not saying some of these kids ain't better than what we were, but you're telling me all of them are better than what we are.
No, they're the same. They're 18, 19, 20-year-old kids.
Even if it's not Vegas fixing the game, it very well could be the players fixing the game for themselves.
It could be. Could be a multitude of things. The boosters, I think, look.
And once you get in bed with the mob, it's just like that deal. Once you play, you play poker with somebody, they got you. Once you do business with them, they got you by the nuts. You're going to have to play again.
Yeah, so I don't think I don't think the NFL players are cheating. I do think there is a very good possibility that the referees in the NFL, I'm not going to say are cheating. I would not say that. But I do think that there is a really good possibility that at the beginning of the year, Goodell has a little meeting with all of them and gives them tips on, this is what we're going to do to possibly keep games close or whatever the scenario may be. I don't think that they are affecting the outcomes like towards the end of the game, making calls so a team wins.
Yep.
I don't think that, but I do think that there's things in place probably for them to try to keep games close. And that can be done so easy in the middle of a game, which is a holding call or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I do think there's probably an element that is happening in the NFL on the referees side. I find it very hard to believe that NFL players would cheat. I just think they got too much pride. They too much to lose. Yeah, and a lot to lose. College, I'm not on board with Anthony thinking that Oregon's shaving points, but I do respect his opinion. But I think
at least I'm coming with receipts.
In college, I think it absolutely happens. I think it happens a lot more on the lower level college teams. A lot more. Like probably a ton. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen at the D1 level with bigger teams. It probably does. A lot easier to get in a kid's ear than it is, a grown man who's got a family and has already got millions of dollars in the bank account. So I do think it happens in college. I do think it happens probably mainly in lower level colleges. The other pro sports, NBA is hard to judge. I don't watch the NBA enough, and there's been a lot of fishy stuff over the years with
They've
the
caught
NBA.
them before.
They have. So I don't even want to speak on the NBA, but that's just how I feel on the football side of it. I think there is some cheating going on. There's no doubt. I do think it's weird that nobody ever gets caught.
Absolutely.
I do think that's weird. You can't tell me that nobody's getting caught. Now, maybe people are getting caught, and like you said, they're just either wiping it under the rug or they're hiding the stories, washing, scrubbing the internet.
They give them reduced sentences.
Getting rid of the stories.
I think what they do is when they catch them, they say, hey, as long as it don't go public, we'll give you this reduced sentence. It's that if this does go public, in X amount of time, you will have to go, you will have to get the full punishment at that point.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Any team that has Kentucky in their name, they do not cheat, never have cheated ever.
That's right.
I know that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Only if their name says Kentucky in it.
I'll tell you what, there was the Kentucky-Tennessee game. A week or two ago, I kind of thought Tennessee they didn't cover, but I felt like they were messing up everything they could not to cover. They were dropping balls. We had every sub in the world in.
All right, well that's our little bit of thoughts on the cheating thing.
Thanks for listening, guys.
We'll probably come back with it at some point. I'm sure another scenario will arise that will bring this conversation back to our desk. So we'll probably talk about it again. Share your thoughts with us on Facebook or on TikTok or something. Let us know what you think about it.
If you see some angles or you find a trend or something, share it with us. We'll share information. We'll see if we can catch them.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into the what we do last week. Well, let's stick with the college football. You want to stick with the college football?
We could,
let you go
start
first
off,
on the college football.
Guys, again, thanks for listening to that. I feel very strongly about that.
I think it was. They probably like to hear that. I think
it's being talked about in friend circles. I know that.
I think it's one of them things that a lot more people want to talk about. But they can't.
Yeah.
These guys on ESPN can't talk about that shit.
I hate that.
Any of these podcasts out here that at the beginning of it they say this episode is brought to you by DraftKings, they can't even hint towards that shit.
And I think they want to talk about it.
I guarantee you
because people are talking about, look, whether it's right or wrong, that's another story. Okay? But it's definitely being talked about. And at worst, you would love to have it just for conversation.
Again, DraftKings, we will shut our mouth if you call us.
Give us some money.
We will shut our mouth.
Hey, just like then, we're Bible, right? Are we Bible?
What?
Are we Bible? Will we take the money to shut our mouths?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
The $300,000 check?
Absolutely.
We'll split it. All right, we'll even let you hang out. We'll have a party at our other sponsor's place. You can come in town and give us some money.
Yeah, we got to find out where it's at.
Yeah. We'll find
Actually, I was thinking, I went up to, it was years ago, went up to Green Bay. It was actually a Green Bay Ravens Monday Night Football game years ago. And we stayed out in the middle of nowhere. And there was nothing to do except little bitty strip club out in the middle of Wisconsin, dude. And we went 2-3 nights in a row. It was the only place to go. We ate there and everything. By the end of the weekend, the girls all knew us and stuff. It was pretty cool. I can't remember the name, but I don't think it was Tiggo Bitties.
We had one like that when I went for some training in Iowa for work. It was the lumber yard.
The lumber
yard was
like
legit.
That.
The lumber yard was legit.
Oh, bring your own lumber.
Probably the nicest one I've ever been in.
That's great. All right, get us started with college football.
Sounds good, guys.
Oh, by the way, real quick, disclaimer. I have not looked at one college football game this week, so you might want to fade my picks this weekend.
That's usually when you win. Let's start it off, guys. Let's start it off with the good one here. We have LSU will be traveling to Gainesville, better known as the Swamp. They will be facing the Florida Gators. LSU is a 4.5-point favorite in that game against Florida. Last week, Florida got drilled by Texas, but before that, Florida had been playing some pretty good football. Lagway got hurt in the Georgia game, the game before last at the end. They played Georgia tough until he got hurt. The guy's like their third or fourth string quarterback that's in there now. Their first drives against Texas, I wrote them down. 5 plays, 3 plays, 5 plays, 5 plays, 3 plays, 5 plays, 2 plays, 1 plays. They couldn't get nothing going, guys. Texas was coming off a bye. They were getting right. It was just a bad game for Florida. But Florida definitely was trending in the right direction before that game. Lagway, compared to that third or fourth string quarterback, there's a big difference. A big difference. Florida wants to.
Is Lagway back for sure?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. And Florida is a physical football team. They wanted to run play action and set up for the Lagway long passes. LSU has been killed against any kind of running quarterback. Lagway's not your just superstar running quarterback, but he definitely likes to scramble some. Milroe ate him up last week. Look, I've said this for all year. You're right about some things you say. You're wrong about some things you say. And that's the fun part about this. I was right about Milroe. I don't know if y'all remember beginning of the year, I told Charlie this, my buddy Barry. Milroe needs to be run first, pass second. And that's what Alabama's done last couple games. And that's their best formula for winning. He ran for 185 yards, ran for 4 touchdowns against LSU. Texas A&M, they had a lot of success with their running quarterback against them, and so did South Carolina.
Something else you was right about. LSU cannot stop a running quarterback.
No, they can't.
They can't. They have been fried by running quarterbacks this year.
They have. And, that...
Lagway can run it, too.
Lagway can do it all. Lagway...
I'm just going to go ahead and say I like Florida in this position.
I do, too.
You can make your pick or whatever. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No,
but I like I haven't looked at none of this. I've been on the wrong side of LSU all year. I'll probably be on the wrong side this time. I liked them last week to beat Alabama. They got destroyed. I'm jumping right back off of them. I'm jumping on Florida. So I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good.
I'm on
I like
Florida
it. Let's just go all in on it because I like them too. I think Florida's trending in the right direction. I just think LSU's soft. They can't run the ball. Florida's a physical. They want to set the play action, and Lagway can throw the deep ball. I just don't think LSU can do nothing with that offense with Lagway back. I think the defense will do enough to, as good as LSU's got a nice little passing game, they don't have no running game, and I think Florida will do enough to hold them down, and I think their offense will have a lot of success against LSU. I actually like the money line in that bet too, but I'll take the 4.5 points just for the pick. But I would not be scared to lay the money line in that game. So,
yeah, I kind of like that idea too. Yeah. Money line on that. I'll tell you, if LSU loses this game, they're going to be in my damn doghouse because I cannot get on the right side of them.
I get it. I get it. So the next game we're going to jump over to, Clemson will be traveling to Pittsburgh, and they will be playing the Pittsburgh Panthers. Clemson is a road favorite, is -10. Clemson just got done with a game against Virginia Tech. They weren't nothing impressive. They did cover. But it was kind of a boring game. Pitt just comes off a game against Virginia. Virginia was able to beat them. Look, I was trying to like Pitt beginning of the year. They got nice little defense, hard nose.
I ain't liked them since Cal came to Pitt, and they fucking didn't cover that, dude. I can't stand them.
It's I don't think Pitt's that good, though. I really don't. They lost to Virginia. They beat Syracuse, but Syracuse had like 4 pick sixes. They really don't have nothing really impressive or even close to impressive on their resume. Clemson, once again, they're playing for their playoff hope. I still don't think Clemson's that great, but I think Pitt will have trouble. Pitt don't have that great offense. Clemson's defense is pretty good. I think Pitt will have trouble even scoring points on Clemson. I really do. Not that I think Clemson's just, some great team. I just think the ACC is not that good. And I think Clemson is one of the nice little teams. Not great, but nice. I think Pitt will have trouble scoring any points on Clemson. So as long as Clemson can get they're minus 10, as long as they can get 16 to 20 points, which they should be able to do, I think they'll cover that. It's not one that just jumps off the page of me, but it just comes down to I don't think Pitt can score much on them. I'm going to take Clemson minus the 10.
Yep, I'm taking Clemson too. I ain't got a ton to say about this one either. I do not like Pittsburgh because, like I said a handful of weeks ago, they had Cal coming to town. Looked like a good cover spot for Pitt. I bet them, and they did not cover. So I'm still sour about that. Clemson didn't run the table like I wanted them to, like I predicted after that first loss. But they still got a shot, right?
I think they're in it still. I think.
They're not in the top 12 right now, are they? Either way, I don't think they are. They're number 20. I wouldn't say.
Are they? Okay.
I wouldn't say
You're
that
right.
they're in it.
Yeah.
But I will say that they still got a chance.
Well, they can win the ACC.
Yeah, they're 7-2, and they could win the ACC. So if they win out,
they're going to get in.
They win out and win the ACC. They'll have they'll be what 11-2 with. They're in. They're in. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Minus 10 on the road. That's kind of tough, but I'm going to go Clemson. I'm going to take Clemson.
Alrighty, our next one's going to be Missouri. The Missouri Tigers will travel to Columbia, South Carolina, and they will face the South Carolina Gamecocks.
This spread seems weird to me.
It does seem weird, but they're minus 12, South Carolina.
Is it 12? I had 13.5. Yeah, go ahead. I'll check it.
South Carolina is a really good home team. They always have been. If you ain't never watched the South Carolina home game, it's kind of unique. They play the Inner Sandman. They play the Rooster crowing all game. I don't know what time that game is, but the night games are even harder. Last week, Missouri has been really disappointing this year. They really haven't beat nobody.
13.5.
They beat. That must mean the quarterback ain't playing because they were 12.
Yeah, it was 12 and it opened at 12.5, and now it's 13.
OU, they played at Oklahoma last week.
Missouri's quarterback sat out last week for the second week.
Yep, yeah, they did. And OU should have beat them. OU had 5 lost fumbles in that game and still lost that game. I think it was in overtime. The key to this game, I think it comes down to this, is Missouri to have their best weapons, their big wide receivers and kind of the deep ball. You don't get to throw deep balls against South Carolina because you don't have time to throw the deep ball against South Carolina. South Carolina has the best pass rush in college football. If you're going to beat South Carolina, you got to take it right to them. Look, Beamer's teams, they do get better at the end of the year. I'm not a big Beamer guy, but his teams do get better at the end of the year. Missouri's only chances to get to those wide receivers on those bigger plays, they won't have time. I think South Carolina is hot as can be.
They are hot.
I think they're playing really good ball. I hate giving up points like this with South Carolina, but I just think they're playing a lot better than Missouri right now. I'm going to take South Carolina minus the points.
They beat Oklahoma by 26. They beat Texas A&M by 24, and they beat Vanderbilt by 21. They are getting hot as shit right now at the right time. I'll take South Carolina.
I'm going to tell you what.
I did not like this spread, but you're telling me Missouri's quarterback's probably still out, and South Carolina, man,
they'll
they
kill
are
that ball
hot right now. Yeah, give me South Carolina.
I'm telling you, I would hate to be a backup quarterback going up against Missouri's quarterback. I mean, against that pass rush.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I would hate it. I mean, I don't know if they can score points at that point. I mean, they got Luther Burden and Theo Weiss. They won't have a chance to get it to him. They'll get that guy killed. So, yeah, we're both with him.
Shit, I wouldn't even. Speaking of that, I wonder what Missouri's team over under is, because you're probably right about that. They're going to struggle to score points.
They will.
They are.
They will. They might get that kid hurt. Seriously, dude. If you ain't watched South Carolina, they got some guys that can get after the passer. They got some guys that can get after the passer. They just do. And Missouri's only chance is really to get the long ball going. That's their biggest weapon. They got two kind of nice receivers, but they tried the big plays with them with the backup quarterback and with that pass rush. He might die.
Yeah, it's trouble.
Yeah, it is. So
trouble in paradise.
We're on the same page. Let's jump over to Kansas Jayhawks. Will travel to Provo and face the BYU Cougars. BYU is -2.5. Look, I'll just put it this:
they facing BYU and the referees. Or?
Yes, I think they are. I'll say this: I think BYU's a fraud. They beat nobody in my eyes. They beat a Kansas State earlier in the year. Kansas State outgained them by 200 yards. I think they're a nice little team. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're junk, but I do not think they're undefeated quality team.
You hate Mormons?
No, I don't.
Oh,
Pope's
okay.
Pope. We got Pope from BYU.
Yeah, he is.
I actually had some Mormon friends when I was younger.
Yeah.
They used to let us come shoot basketball at the church. They were actually really nice people. My wife works for some Mormon people. Nothing but great things to say about Mormons, really. So plus they can have two wives.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And Pope, yeah.
Yeah.
We love Mormons.
Yeah, that's right. They're good people. Anyhow, they will be facing Kansas. Kansas will be traveling to BYU. Kansas was one of the most disappointing stories of college football. They entered the season a top 20 team, had really high expectations. Their quarterback Daniels was really supposed to be a big thing, and they disappointed. They really disappointed. But over the last 4 games or so, they're starting to come to life. The biggest issue early was that quarterback Daniels kept making turnovers, kept throwing interceptions, fumbles. The last 4 games, he really ain't had none, or I think 1 or 2. Last 4 games, they played Iowa State, Kansas State, and Arizona State at Arizona State. Them were 3 tough teams. All of those games, he went for over 400, or not him, but Kansas went for over 400 yards of offense against 3 really good ball clubs and really 3 good defenses. He went for almost 500 last week against Iowa State, which has a nice little defense, a well-coached team. I think Kansas is hot coming into this game. I think this after what happened at the BYU-Utah game, whoever is controlling that, I don't think they have enough courage to do it again because I think they took a lot of flack for that. I bet you they did. That was the one play I talked about most last week. I like Kansas. Now, BYU could beat them at home, but I like Kansas, and I like a money line. It's only 2.5, one underdog, but I'm going to take the point spread for the sake of my bet here. But I like Kansas.
BYU -2.5 right here. That to me is a little fishy. Seems like they're begging you to bet BYU, and that's why I'm going to take Kansas. I know Kansas has been on the roll the last few weeks. I don't hate Mormons, but I'm not picking BYU. 2.5 they're ranked number 6. They're 9-0. They're at home, and they're playing a 3-6 Kansas team who's 0-4 on the road. Why are they only giving up 2.5?
I always say this. Rankings can say whatever, Charlie. But you may tell you if you really want to find out how good a team is. Me tell you, you can tell. Go look at Vegas's rankings. They don't have rankings, but they have point spreads. And Vegas tells a story because they don't just have to look at something and go by a win-loss record. They go by how good they think they are. And Vegas tells the real story.
This reminds me of the Iowa State game last week. And I talked to you for a minute about that. Who did Iowa State play last week?
Kansas. Yeah.
What?
It was Kansas. Kansas beat them.
Was it Kansas?
Yes, that's them. Yes.
Okay. Well, Iowa State was. I think. Yeah.
It was.
Right.
I'm 100%.
Yeah.
I bet Kansas.
And Iowa State was minus. Guess what? 2.5.
Yeah.
And they were they undefeated at that point? 7-0, 7-1.
Yep.
7-1 against a 2-6 Kansas team. Iowa State was minus 2.5. I told you that it was low-hanging fruit, and I was about to grab it and bet on Iowa State. And I didn't because I kept saying something is not right here. Something is not right with the spread. I laid off. Not only did they get beat, they were down like 30 in the first half. Did you see that? Iowa State was getting their asses kicked. Now, they did try to come back. I think they only lost by maybe like 10.
Yeah,
but they were down
never
like 35-7 or something. They were getting smoked. And I was just thanking the Lord that I laid off of that thing. This one kind of seems like the same thing. BYU should be given more, especially they should be 2.5 point favorites if they were playing at Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas is getting trending high, and I think it's a lot of us with their early season expectations, and I feel like people thinks maybe they're starting to live up to it.
I know, and they're begging people to. They're saying, "Here's this number 6 undefeated BYU,
Yep.
only -2.5. Here it is, take it." I'm not doing it. Give me Kansas, and Kansas is with the upset. So
Charlie,
give me the money line.
With what you're saying there, you're saying that they're cheap.
Huh?
With what you're saying about the low hanging fruit, trying to get you to take it, that means they're cheating.
Or Vegas is just smart.
Yeah, that's right.
Or Vegas is just smart.
I was messing.
It could be either way. You
Yeah,
could
that's
be
right. That's right.
I just find it hard to believe that somebody picks their phone up and
it don't go like that.
yeah, Mike Tomlin picks his phone up and it says Vegas. Hello? Yeah.
They don't do that on the phone,
Hey,
Charlie.
Mike, we need you to not win that game today. I don't know. It is what it is. I'm taking Kansas. I'm not taking BYU in this. I hope they get beat. I'm probably going to take Kansas money line.
You know, it probably works the deal where Mike Tomlin goes to Vegas. They put him up with some women. He gets down in blackjack, maybe $700,000 or something. They give him a marker, get him drunk, and then they own him because Mike don't want to pay. Mike got some money, but he don't want to pay him. So they say, "Hey, let's play some ball here."
I'm sure there's people got trapped like that before.
I think I've heard stories like that.
Yeah, the one guy in college basketball back in the late 80s or early 90s, I forgot who he played for. I forgot who he played for. There's a documentary about him. He got caught up with the mob.
You remember? You remember? What's his name on The Longest Yard?
Oh, yeah.
He got caught up with some really bad people in a really bad way. That's what he said.
That was a good movie.
What was his name? Adam Sandler played the role.
Yeah, I can't even remember his name.
Burt Reynolds played it back in the original one. Then Burt Reynolds played the coach in the second one.
That's a good movie.
The Longest Yard. He said, I got caught. He said, guys, yeah, I rigged the game. He said, I got caught up with some really bad people in a really bad way. Yeah. They asked me to throw the game. All right, next one. We got the Oregon Ducks.
Cheers.
Yep. Traveling to Wisconsin to face the Wisconsin Badgers. Wisconsin is Oregon's laying 14 is a road favorite. Wisconsin's a really good home team. In saying that, Wisconsin has played, the teams they have beat really bad have been these slow teams, running teams. When they played teams that really could open up and pass the ball, the Alabamas, the USC, they gave up 38 to USC. I think Alabama, they gave up 40-something. Oregon, I've been paying attention. After they do these games where they point shave on the big favorites, when they come back and play games they're worried about, which this should be one only being a 14-point favorite on the road at Camp Randall. This is my bet of the week, guys. I love Oregon. I don't believe Oregon only can throw up 320 yards against Maryland. I think they could have do up as many as they want. They won't overlook this game at Camp Randall. Everybody knows this is a tough place to play. The place will be rocking, and Oregon's going to hurt some feelings. Bottom line, I love Oregon minus the 14 points right there.
Yep, me too. I love Oregon too. I was on them last week. They did not cover, partly because of some of the stuff we were talking about. Maryland down 19 with like 5.5 minutes left and punt the ball. Jeez. Oregon should have covered last week. I agree with Anthony. They probably, I don't know. How did they not score more? How did they not?
320. Maryland's defense. Listen, you might like Maryland. Somebody might,
I
but
mean,
it's but Maryland's offense is their ticket. It's not their defense.
No.
Their defense has been used all year, and you're telling me maybe the best offense in football can only put up 320 yards against it? No way.
Bottom line for me is I do not put my money or my picks on Wisconsin football. Just don't do it. Can't stand them. I'm still mad about them beating us when we were undefeated in basketball.
Yeah. I actually like Wisconsin over the years, but this is not a spot where I like them. I think Oregon's got way too much firepower. I loved Oregon last week against Maryland. I just knew Maryland couldn't slow them down.
Some of the most boring football. If somebody says boring football, I think of like Minnesota and Wisconsin. I mean, I just do. I don't know why, but I can't. Like, those are got to be the most boringest football that you can just imagine. Used to be Iowa. Iowa's got a little bit of an offense now. Iowa, I would throw in that group too, though. But I agree. Oregon's going to roll right here. I'm not sure about the whole point shaving thing, but they're rolling in this spot.
Alrighty, our game of the week. Last college football game of the week that we will be doing over here at Blitz the Bookie. This is going to be a good one. This is an elimination game, essentially. Tennessee will travel to Athens between the hedges. They will face the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia at home is a 10-point favorite, which that is a point spread that I don't understand. Now, people are saying
fishy. That's fishy too.
Nico might be playing. Nico might not be playing.
Why? Is he hurt?
That's what they were saying. To me, Georgia's offense has had real struggles. I have been fading Georgia all year. I've had success with it. I've said Carson Beck. I'm not I wasn't buying. I've been right on that. He, last 4 games, 9 interceptions. He's struggling. I hate it for the kid because he does seem like a good kid. People were talking about him being the number 1 pick. He's probably played his way out of the first 2 or 3 rounds. And I hate it because I do think he's a good guy. I love Kirby. Georgia will be back. They recruit too well to, it just after all them years of success, you're going to have a down year. And they're still in the playoff as of now. They're the first out as of now. But they definitely, if they win out, they're going to be in. So this is an elimination game for both teams. I don't know why that point spread is what it is. I don't even really want to pick this game.
I know that.
I just don't.
Because it seems like they're begging you to take Tennessee. It does not seem like Georgia should be giving Tennessee 10.5.
If Nico don't play,
I'm taking
Georgia. I am too.
I'm taking
and I don't know why. And I'm not going to bet this game on Saturday. I'm just going to let you know that. I say that. I love betting the big games. I do not know. I do not like Georgia minus 10. I do not like them. Tennessee, it don't make sense. That's why I'm taking them because I'm not no dummy. And I'm not buying. You can have the low-hanging fruit.
It's
Tennessee should be the favorite over them, maybe even on the road if you're just going by what they played. Georgia's had some real issues on offense, guys. They just have. The only thing Georgia has to hang their head on is the Texas game and the Clemson game. And I know them are 2 good wins, but outside of that, they've struggled in almost every game.
When was the last time Kirby's had two losses in a row?
I don't know, but I will say this. I do think Georgia plays good when people are kind of doubting them a little bit. I do think they play good when they are, but Tennessee's defense is good. Carson Beck might throw 3 picks. They better keep the ball on the ground and let their defense win it. But Hypo might be thinking the same thing. I bet you it's going to be a low-scoring game. That'd be a low-scoring game because I bet you both coaches play conservative. They don't want to let their quarterbacks lose it for them, neither one. I bet you it's a low-scoring game.
So. Yeah, I'm going Georgia too. Y'all know I was really, really high on Georgia, and I'm not even going to jump all the way off of them. I know they got their butts kicked last week, but they still got a good team. They still got the best coach in college football.
No doubt.
I'm not jumping off of them completely. I'm not. I think they still get in that top 12. They'll still get in that playoff somehow.
They got to win this week?
I think they do win this week. The 10.5 seems weird to me. To me, just seems like they're begging you to take Tennessee, and that's why I'm going to take Georgia. So
that's the only reason I'm taking.
Yep, I'm taking them partly because of that. I'm taking them partly because I still believe in them. But
even if you believe in them, don't you think it's still high?
It is. It is. I won't be betting on this game. I will not be betting on this game. But for the show here, I'm going to take Georgia. All right, is that it?
Yep, that's it for college football.
We actually agreed on every game, Anthony.
That's all right. I'll tell you this, guys. I have a little parlay I want to tell y'all if y'all trying to make some money. We'll have a Blitz the Bookie parlay. But there's just 3 picks that I really like this week. I love Oregon.
Me too.
I like Florida if Lagway plays. And then I like Kansas against BYU. The play I'm going to tell you is take Kansas money line. You're going to get plus, you ain't going to get a lot, but you'll get like plus $1.40. And then take Florida money line. You'll probably get plus $1.70. And then take Oregon and bet them up to, they're minus 14. Take them up to 20. I bet you that'll get you, plus over $2 and something. So, you'll get some value. A three-leg parlay already pays 6 to 1.
6 to 1. You probably get 8 or 10 to 1 on that.
Yeah, bet. If not, maybe more.
Yeah,
so
you might.
I like that bet. I'll be playing the point spreads, but I do think I'm gonna add a little bit more on and just bet the money line parlay. But for our Blitz the Bookie parlay, what's your best pick? Mine's Oregon. What's your best pick?
I like Oregon. I'd stay away from the Georgia game.
Okay.
Let's see. We got Clemson at Pitt, LSU. I like Florida. I'll throw Florida in there.
Okay.
It's scary a little bit with LSU on a bounce back, but I just don't know if LSU's even that good.
Yeah, I don't either.
I really don't.
I've been on them too, Charlie.
We have to put a little asterisk though. Alagway has to start.
Yes.
If he does not start,
I don't want no part of it.
I'm all the way off on this game. Matter of fact, if he doesn't start, I got LSU on my pick.
Yeah.
I'll even say that.
Yeah.
I need him to start. If he starts, let's put him in the Blitz the Bookie parlay. Let's do Florida, Oregon. You want to throw one more? Let's throw one more in there. Who you like? So you like Kansas? I'm on that. Let's go Kansas because I think I like that better.
That's the three. Yeah,
I think I like that better than South Carolina giving all those points or Clemson -10 on the road. I like that. Let's go.
I like that parlay.
Kansas, Oregon, Florida, 3-game Blitz the Bookie parlay. Last week we had Clemson and who got us? Clemson covered, but somebody got us. Vandy. We had Vandy last week. South Carolina busted that ass.
That was a bad pick.
Yeah.
I felt that too. You know how you feel things like I wanted to take Vandy because they've been, but I knew in my heart like I felt something weird there.
It was they were riding too high. It was time for Vandy to be brought down to earth a little bit, and they did. They got their heads pounded.
No.
So, all right, we got a 3-game parlay there. Let's move on to the NFL.
Let's do it.
NFL. What is it? It is week 11. We are flying. What is Thanksgiving is going to be, 2 weeks from now? We got Thanksgiving.
Have you brought your turkey yet, Charlie?
No, but I got to get one for the Blitzgiving. That's next Sunday.
Yeah.
I need to get the one for the Blitzgiving.
Are you cooking the turkey?
Yep, deep fry, baby. Deep fried
That's
turkey.
It's always fun, guys. We coach that team. We talk about every year we do Blitzgiving. It's a great time for the families. We enjoy it. We've been together, I guess, 6 years now, and it's really, in travel ball that don't happen a lot. People come, people go, but our team, we've stuck together. And really proud of that, and just really thankful for all my friends and all my family. So
shout out to all the Blitz families out there.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, NFL last week. We had some action last week. Baltimore and Cincinnati Thursday night. I know that broke your heart. Baltimore outlast Cincinnati 35-34. Both quarterbacks played great. I think they both had 4 touchdowns. Both of them had close to 400 yards, something like that.
Lamar's were wide open. Like literally, he passed it to a guy for 10 yards.
He's playing good.
They're wide open. They're wide. These guys are wide open. Like he's throwing it to them, and one guy runs 85 yards. There's nothing like. I went back and watched because I was thinking that myself, like, damn, Lamar's getting it done. I go back and look at his honestly, I go back and look at his touchdowns. The guys are like wide open.
He's still playing good right
now. He is.
I'm not a big Lamar guy either at all, but he's playing good.
I think it's a testament to their offense too.
Oh, it is. I mean, they've got a good system.
And they do.
Good. They know how to use Lamar, and they get the best out of him. So
no doubt.
Yeah, Baltimore outlast Cincinnati. Cincinnati's in. I'm not gonna say they're in trouble, but they can't take too many more losses.
They need to be winning.
They got 6 losses right now.
I hate it because I do that.
They can't take more than about 2. Maybe I don't even know if they can take 2 more losses.
And I hate it because I think they're playing good football. Like I hate it.
Well, you get to 6,
I know you're absolutely right.
Yeah, they're down to it. I don't know what their schedule looks like, but I hope it ain't real tough because
they're in a bad spot.
Yeah. Sunday morning, the Giants in Carolina play what Anthony calls the stinker of the year.
It was.
They treated the fans in Germany to a shit show, from what I heard.
If I was Germany, I would tell the NFL kiss my ass.
2-7 and 2-7, or 2-6 and 2-6. That's what they got. I did have a money line bet on Carolina. Was the only winning bet that I had all day. Actually, no, I take that back. I had a first half bet on San Francisco that I won too. But other than that, I lost every bet that I made last week. Not a good week on the gambling for me. But I did have a money line bet on Carolina. So that they won, but I didn't watch any of it. But Anthony said that game sucked. And I actually heard it on a couple different shows this week that it was like the worst football game ever played.
It was bad. Literally. And look, Charlie makes fun of me because I actually like Daniel Jones. Not that I think he's good, but I just think he's better than what the team is. I sound like I'm taking up for the Giants, but they did everything they could to let Carolina win that game. I mean,
Bro, they drafted Daniel Jones because he looks like Eli Manning. I'm convinced.
Maybe so. I still don't think he's bad, but he must be.
New England dominates Chicago. We were wrong. Blitz the Bookie was wrong. Chicago is not good. Not only are they not good, they're fucking terrible.
Yeah.
They're terrible. They're probably one of the bottom 3 teams in the whole league. That's how bad they are.
Or they got the call from Vegas.
2 weeks ago, we're sitting here going, oh, man, Chicago's good. No, they suck, dude. They are bad. Caleb Williams has been awful. Their offensive line is absolutely garbage. I want to give him a little bit of a pass because his offensive line is so bad, but he has been really, really shaky. Has not been doing much right. Their coach has got to go. I know some Chicago fans. They're not happy. They're not happy. They want the coach gone. I think they wanted him gone like 3 weeks ago. So Chicago, Blitz the Bookie was wrong. The Bears suck.
They suck.
San Francisco squeaks out a win in Tampa.
They're barely any good.
Who?
San Francisco.
No,
but
they're still good.
I agree.
They're still good. They're just so beat up and they're just coming back together. I'm going to tell you who's good. Fucking Tampa. Tampa's good. They've lost like 5 in a row. I'm telling you, Tampa's a good. Maybe it's just because I like Baker. The dude is a gunslinger. He's a winner.
I don't think that they're not good. I don't. I just don't.
Maybe they're not as good as I think. I think maybe it's just because I really like Baker.
Success with him.
Baker's a gamer.
He is. I like Baker too, dude.
Gamer.
I sound like I don't, but I really do like the guy. It's hard not to like a bounce back guy like that. I mean,
I think they might have a bye this week. So,
I heard that game was one of the games. There was a lot of money on San Francisco against Tampa and against Kansas City that night.
San Francisco's kicker missed 3 field goals.
And that's 2 games that they were able to cut. Look, I'm not saying nothing, but look, we can talk whether Tampa's good or not, but their defense had been bad all year. And now all of a sudden, the last 2 games, teams ain't scoring much on them. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Maybe Tampa's not as good as I think. They've lost.
They got a good offense.
They're on like a 4 or 5 game losing streak. But
yeah. Well, they've covered. To me, I thought, I even told you before the game, I thought 49ers was absolute lock at 6.5. We're getting McCaffrey back.
They should have too. They would have covered that if their field goal kicker doesn't miss 3 field goals. Even if he just misses 1 field goal, they still cover.
That's who they got a hold of, Charlie. That's who they got a hold of. The kicker.
Again.
He got into some bad craps table like that.
Vegas is calling me. Hold on. Hey, man, next time you get in line to make a game-winning field goal, make sure you miss that thing.
Oh.
Yeah. Pittsburgh and Washington, game of the day, 28-27. I was at a little basketball thing when that was ending. Kind of bummed that I didn't get to really watch the end of that game. But Pittsburgh just gets it done again. Mike Tomlin is, I know we didn't do the badass of the week this week, but if we did, I'd have probably made him my badass again. Dude is the man. I know I've already said this before, but I got a really good friend that lives in Maryland that is a diehard Steelers fan, and he does not like Mike Tomlin. And I want to strangle his ass. I'll take Mike Tomlin all day, every day.
I feel like that's how people felt about people around the country. Maybe not Kentucky fans, but like with Cal, I feel like sometimes people thought, man, they're ungrateful, dude. Like I feel like they felt that way sometimes.
Minnesota wins probably the ugliest 12-7 game against Jacksonville. Absolutely dominated the stats. It was like 450 total yards to like 150.
They did. I had Jacksonville.
It was ridiculous.
And don't ask me why. They covered, and I watched the whole game, and I felt like they couldn't give them the game.
I'm going to tell you what happened. Sam Darnold turned back into Sam Darnold. I don't know who he was for the first 8 weeks, but he wasn't Sam Darnold. This week, he was Sam Darnold. 2 early picks, ended up with 3 picks. Just bad. What I actually thought was going to happen earlier in the year with Minnesota, why I kept going against him because of Sam Darnold, and he kept winning. But, in that game against Jacksonville, he showed me what I actually thought about him because he sucks.
I've been fighting him.
Well, I say he sucks. He doesn't. He's been having a great year, but he went back to sucking.
I've been fighting him lately, and I've had some success. About midway through the year, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, I'd got on the idea that maybe Houston wasn't that good and Minnesota wasn't. Not that they weren't good. I'm not going to say that, but maybe they weren't as highly rated as what people thought. And I've been doing pretty good, decent with that angle. Not perfect, but I've been doing pretty decent with that angle.
Yeah, I agree. I've been saying that about Minnesota all year. They just kept winning and winning, but
They were good early.
Yeah, and they're still a good team.
They are
well coached. They're a very balanced team, and they got some weapons, so they'll be all right. That's a tough division there. I think maybe all three of those teams get in. Besides Chicago, I think Minnesota, Detroit, Green Bay, probably all three get into the playoffs. I mean, could end up being wrong about that, but right now that looks like how it's trending. So Philadelphia, they're back. All it took was Sirianni to threaten the fans, try to fight the fans. Next thing you know, they've won 3 or 4 in a row, and they look really good doing it.
They're my number 1 on my power ranking, I don't like Jalen Hurts.
I'm surprised to hear you say that because you are a Philly hater.
No, I'm a Jalen Hurts hater.
But they have got a squad.
They do.
They got a squad right now. They're clicking. Offense, I mean, dude, they are loaded on offense. That Saquon Barkley pickup, besides maybe Derrick Henry, that's the best pickup of the year. Saquon Barkley is...
That shows what happens when a good player can go to a good team. I mean, they both come from horrible teams, the Titans and the Giants. And
you know what? I give Saquon credit, too, because I've heard that he wanted to stay in New York.
Dude, the guy's class.
He wanted to stay in New York, and they wanted to pay your boy Daniel Jones instead of Saquon Barkley. That was a dumbass move.
I think some of that's just that, today's NFL, they just don't value running backs a lot. But it's shown that if you put a good running back in a really good system like San Francisco or Baltimore or Philly, they definitely can complement them. I don't think it can be just your only offense now, but
and they don't need him to be the only offense. Yeah. They got plenty of offense.
No, they do.
They got plenty of offense. So yeah, Philly they're looking good. I haven't put together my power rankings since a couple weeks ago. Maybe we'll do that for next week, but I would say Phillies, they're not number 1 for me, but they might be in the top 3. Detroit escapes 26-23. They were down 16 points in that game to Houston. Find a way to come back. Just a resilient team. Dude, I think something special is going on in Detroit. Dan Campbell, I swear, man, I think there's just something special going on in Detroit. I find it hard to believe that the Detroit Lions are actually going to win a Super Bowl. But, man, they might.
Goff threw 5 picks, they still won.
5 picks, and they still won. And I don't know if you've seen this, but I saw right after the game was over, right after they kicked that field goal, Dan Campbell and Goff had, kind of embraced a little bit there on the sideline before they went to midfield to talk to the other team. And it almost just the way they were looking at each other and the way whatever they were saying, it was almost like just what you said. It was almost like, dude, I don't know how, but we got this shit done. I mean, it just looked like what they were kind of laughing a little bit, and it just seemed like they were saying, we probably should have lost this game, but we still figured out a way to win. We are some badass motherfuckers. I feel like that's what they were saying.
They probably were like, dude, man, we just won this game, and we just cashed this $200,000 bet.
Or it could have been that. I just think something special is going on in Detroit, man. I do. I've said it for years, I won't believe in the Browns until the Browns show me something because they're the Browns. And I put Detroit in that category. This is a different type of team. I don't care what's on their helmet, what's on their jersey. That team is really good, and it just seems like they got something special going on. Kansas City escapes again. Like I said, we were at the little basketball thing, so we didn't see this happen. I got a text.
I was in the car with my son.
Yeah, I got a text saying the field goal was blocked. But then about 5 minutes later, I see Anthony, and he is heated. He is pissed. How the hell did they miss that field goal? I said Anthony had got blocked.
Dude.
Oh. He thought they missed it.
Dude. So my son's a big Kansas City fan. I've told everybody all year I think Kansas City, not that they're frauds. That's not fair. They're a good team. but they're not an undefeated quality team. Just too many tight games. I know they're winning them. That was luck, dude. Yeah, okay, he got it. That's luck. They've had a couple of big lucky things this year, too, where teams have outplayed them. Now, you might say they're winning, and I agree they are winning those games, and you got to give them credit for that. But if somebody wants to back them, they're backing them off previous year's success, because you can't back them off what you've seen this year. I don't care if they're undefeated or not. When I say back them, I mean saying, they're going to win the Super Bowl. Now, if somebody wants to make the angle about past years, I could get that, okay? They have a championship pedigree. I don't like that because I don't think like that, but I could see that argument. But this year, they just haven't looked good, dude. And I know they're undefeated, but they just haven't looked good.
You're right. They've been a little sloppy, but like I've been saying, they get it done. They find ways, and that's really all that matters in the NFL. Right. It really is.
You're right.
It's all that matters.
They play the Buffalo Bills this week, though.
Yeah, they got some tough games coming up. Last game of the week, my boys. Anthony, don't ever bet against your team.
I already know.
Don't bet against your team.
I get it.
I bet the Rams, and I'm sitting there through the first half going, why did I do this shit?
I had a feeling about that. Like, right before the kickoff, I didn't really watch it, but I had a feeling about that game. I got a weird, I like the Rams. I know, I like the Rams, but you just get those weird feelings sometimes. And I heard the Rams played, I didn't watch it, but I heard they played really sloppy.
They did. The Dolphins played the whole first half was
sloppy.
An absolute slop show. Yeah, I mean, Tua threw an interception, then Stafford comes right back, throws another interception, then 2 plays later, Tua fumbles it right back to the Rams. It was a slop show. It was sloppy. Stafford was off, but he still had almost 300 yards. The Rams are still fine. They look like shit, though. They really did. They did not look good.
They looked really good leading up to that.
The Dolphins didn't even look that good. We had a really good first drive. Other than that, it was just some shit here and there. The Rams kind of gave it to us. Look, I bet against them, so I was in a tight spot there, cheering for my money and my team. Of course, it got to the point where, end of the third quarter, I'm just cheering for my team.
I get that. I've been there. I had Kansas City bet. And I was pulling for Denver at the end because I knew they weren't going to cover the point, and so I was pulling for them.
I can't cheer. I cannot bet against my team. I did it on Monday night, and I regretted it very quickly. Matter of fact, I regretted it after about 3 minutes when we drove right down and was up 7-0.
I regretted the Philly and Dallas game. I didn't bet the game. We were sitting there getting us a bite to eat. I was watching it with Charlie at a sports bar. It was like the first drive. I could just see it. Or it was like first, second. I could just see the way they were playing.
Who?
Philly and Dallas. Yeah. I was like, man, I wish I'd bet that game because I almost bet Philly. I was like, man, I wish I would have bet that game. And I could see it so quick. It wasn't hard to see. But.
All right. Speaking of Philly, let's get into the first game here.
All right.
Thursday night, we got a good one. Washington at Philly.
Washington at Philly. I don't care what the point spread is. I'm taking Philly. You go ahead.
All right. I had it at 3.5. Let's double check it just to make sure it hasn't moved. I'm still seeing 3.5 right now. Philly minus 3.5. They are 7-2. Washington is 7-3. Division game should be tough. I mean, you know how these division games go. They know each other. They know each other well. They hate each other. Should be fun. Y'all know, if y'all been listening, that I like this Washington team. I really do, but I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think they're a year or two ahead of schedule. I really do. I don't think they're supposed to. They ain't supposed to be 7-3 with a rookie quarterback and a brand new head coach. I think they're a very balanced team. But Philly, man, Philly is riding high right now. I got to take them at home. I got to take Philly at home. They're playing good. This might be a spot where I would think, Philly's playing really good the last 3 or 4. Maybe it's time for them to cool off. But Washington's been just as hot.
Yeah.
I know they lost last week to Pittsburgh, but that was a game could have went either way.
That's right.
I'm going to take Philly, man. I'm going to take Philly at home. Y'all know how I do it. I wouldn't take it minus 3.5. I'd buy it down to 3. So nothing new on that for me. But anytime, guys, that there's a 3.5 or a 7.5 or something like that, I'm always I'm always buying the point. I just am. That's just how I do it. I know Anthony doesn't, and a lot of people don't. But I'm not getting beat by the hook, especially in a game like this. Why would I bet 3.5? I'm getting it to where I need it, which would be 3. So give me Philly.
I'll be honest with you, Charlie. I hate to say it because I've been so high on Detroit. On a neutral field, I think I might take Philly over Detroit. I think Philly's really good right now.
Hard to handle, a lot of weapons. I mean, their running game with Barkley and Hurts.
The receivers, I mean, they're just complete.
A.J. Brown looks like Megatron out there. Have you ever seen anybody that looks like Megatron?
No,
since Megatron?
There's only one of those.
I know, but A.J. Brown looks like him.
I agree.
He is huge.
I agree.
No. Dude is huge. He's jacked.
Then they got Devontae Smith. I mean, they're a complete team.
Thunder and lightning out there.
Jalen Hurts.
You might not like him throwing the ball. I know you're not a fan, but the dude is super effective with the way he runs.
With those weapons. Look, I do think that's what the NFL's becoming, is that it's about like your pieces. Like years ago, I feel like a quarterback could just take over. Now I feel like, every quarterback's almost turning into a system quarterback. That's every quarterback, not just the ones I like or the ones I don't like. It's a lot of it's about your system you're in now. I feel that way. I feel like Darnold up at Minnesota's looked pretty good this year. I do not think he's that good.
I agree.
Look at Baker, went to a better system, and look at Purdy up there at the 49ers, and it's just I think a lot of it's system quarterbacks. I heard a guy, an NFL analyst, talk about that a little bit, and kind of put some thoughts in my head. I think he might be right.
Joe Burrow, I mean, he wouldn't be shit if he wasn't playing for Cincinnati.
I will say this. I think there could be something to be said for that because he has some good weapons there. But hey, listen,
there's 3 or 4 guys that you could put on.
Josh Allen. Josh Allen don't have much.
Josh Allen, Burrow, Mahomes, maybe I would say Aaron Rodgers, but he sucks.
He sucks.
I mean, there's maybe 3 or 4 of them that you could put on any team, but everybody else pretty much is a system quarterback.
I think Josh Allen gets it done with very minimum offensive talent.
Josh Allen, you could put him on any team. He'd be fine.
I just think, like, when I think of Buffalo's offense this year, I don't feel like they have much, and I think they're producing. Like, a lot of quarterbacks will lose all their offense, like Jalen Hurts or Mahomes or whoever, even Burrow, and they'll say, okay, they don't have their weapons. I feel like Josh Allen does that, and he still produces points.
And he's having a hell of a year this year. I don't know who the MVP favorites are right now, but it should be Josh Allen.
Because they don't have much on offense.
And he don't turn the ball up. He has been a turnover machine since he came in the league, and he is not turning it over this year.
That new offensive coordinator they got halfway through the year last year, and they got hot with him. They got Diggs off the team. Not saying Diggs ain't good. I do think he was a cancer. I just think the Buffalo's got a good culture going right now, and I do think Josh Allen's the MVP of the league. It'd be hard to beat Lamar right now.
Yeah, Lamar, I guess, has got, Yeah, I'd say that's probably... Might be Lamar. I bet you Derrick Henry's in there, too. He's already got over 1,000 yards. He could be looking at 2,000 yards season.
I'm going to tell you who's having a big year. Now, their record ain't good, but Burrow's putting up some monster numbers.
Oh, yeah, he definitely is. But you ain't getting no MVP when your team's 3-6 or whatever they are. So you got Philly?
Yep.
Both going Philly. All right, next game, Baltimore at Pittsburgh. We got some good games, dude. Washington at Philly, Baltimore at Pittsburgh, Kansas City at Buffalo. Dude, we got some good games.
Pittsburgh.
Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Baltimore is actually -3 in this game. You got Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I shouldn't have spoke out.
Nah, you're good.
No,
dude. You're good.
I like Pittsburgh. I do, and it's not really a good thing or bad thing. I just it's a feel thing, and I just I felt it when you said it. I thought about it for a second. I just think it's Pittsburgh's turn to win.
Give me Pittsburgh. I'm taking Pittsburgh, especially +3 in this game. We know what this game is about. These teams absolutely hate each other. I'm gonna go Pittsburgh.
Let's ride.
Yep, give me Pittsburgh. All right, next game, Atlanta at Denver. Why are we doing this game?
Ooh, Charlie, why?
Why are we doing this game?
That's horrible.
It is horrible. And Denver's -2. Atlanta's coming off of a loss where Kirk Cousins was just off and their kicker missed 3 field goals. Denver, we've been saying they've got a good defense, but they're not. Their defense is good, but they're kind of like I talked with Washington, just a year or two ahead of schedule. They're 5-5. They started off pretty good, but they're now 5-5. That's probably about what they are. Just a mediocre team. I think Atlanta's a little bit better than mediocre. I think they had a bad game last week. Like I said, Kirk Cousins was off, and their kicker missed 3 field goals. I know this is on the road at Denver. Tough spot, but I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to take Atlanta.
I'm going to pass. No,
I don't blame
Charlie, put that one on the template there. It was the other games that bad, Charlie?
6-4 and 5. Yeah, they were. If you actually look at the rest of the games, there's a lot of really.
Sure.
There's a lot of I want to say there's 9 or 10 teams with 2 wins.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of shitty teams. So this isn't the greatest matchup. 6-4 against 5-5. Like I said, it's a tough spot for Atlanta on the road, but I like them on the bounce back after losing last week.
I always wanted to be a member of the Mile High Club, and so I'll pick the team that plays in the Mile High City. I'll take the Denver Broncos.
Denver.
So I've been high on Atlanta in the past.
Well, if you're in Denver, you're always high.
That's right.
High on Denver, yeah.
But I'm starting to fade Atlanta. I'm starting to sell Atlanta. I've kind of been on the Atlanta train for a year.
You know what happens when you fade Atlanta?
What's that?
You buy Tampa Bay, baby.
Okay.
You buy Tampa Bay.
All right.
Because New Orleans sucks and Carolina sucks. Tampa to win the division. Wonder what the odds on that are. Whatever it is, we need to look at that.
You know who's grown on me a lot, and I told you this the other day. We was generic Hooters, whatever hoops, but Tua's grown on me, and I know what it is. It's when he came back from injury. He's still playing hard, still diving around. That's my kind of guy.
Diving around?
That's my kind of guy.
2 weeks ago, he dives for a first down, head first. And last week, did you see what he did?
I love it.
Did you see?
Took the tackle.
Threw an interception and then goes and tries to tackle the dude.
About it.
Now, about it, nothing. The dude don't remember. He don't know. I don't think he knows where he's at, Anthony.
He's making a living for his family, Charlie.
Yeah,
he's making a living for his family, son. You know that bad back that you hurt today? You're making a living for your family. That dude's making a living for his family.
Yeah. Look, we're a much better team when he's there. So, as a sports fan, as a Dolphins fan, I want him out there because we are terrible without him.
How can you tell a man he can't make a living for his family, though? He's out. That's what he's
doing. He can't. But if I was the NFL, if I was the Dolphins, he'd be signing a release form. I know that, or he'd be signing a waiver.
Oh, I'm sure they have.
Shit, you coming back? That's fine. You can come back. But when you die on this field, you ain't taking. Your family's not taking our team from us. I hate to say that, but
I think they were willing to chance it just because of how bad they got without him.
Yeah, because they got to, because they're paying him all that money. Let's be honest, they don't give a shit about him. Yeah. They don't give a shit about his long-term health.
That's any of them.
They don't.
That's any of them.
They don't.
That's any of them.
These guys are, a lot of these guys that played 20, 30 years ago are struggling right now with a lot of issues, and the NFL is not very quick to help them out.
But I will say this, though. Been taken up for the NFL. All the rules changes and stuff to benefit that. But when you're making that much money, nobody says you got to play 15 years.
No, I agree with that.
When you're making $20 million a year, you can work 1 year and walk away. Greed.
Yeah, greed or just,
It's greed.
Well, I mean, you've played football your whole life.
Right.
Just to give it up. Because
you got not easy. Because you got the greatest job on the planet. Charlie, you hurt your back today climbing a ladder for work make the X amount of money that you make. You make good money, but compared to these guys, we make chump change.
Yeah.
We sacrifice our bodies every day to make a better living for our families. Give me their job.
All right, next game, Seattle at San Francisco. San Francisco giving the dreaded 6.5 again this week. Minus 6.5. They are 5-4 overall. Seattle is 4-5. Division game, tough game. I hate these division games. San Francisco should roll, but I'm just gonna go with my gut here. 6.5 is too much in a division game. Who'd Seattle play last week? Did they have a bye last week?
I think they played somebody well last week or the week before.
I want to say they had a bye last week.
If so,
they
played good the week before.
Yeah, they're coming off of Seattle's coming off of a bye. San Fran is coming back home after the win at Tampa. Who'd Seattle play the week before?
The Rams. Overtime.
Yep. Lost to the Rams in overtime. Division game, lost by 6.
Give me the 49ers.
At home. Yeah.
49ers got to get right. They got to get right. I wore my 49er shirt today. So they got to get right.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, so they got to get right, man.
I'm changing my pick too. I'm going San Fran.
They got to get right. It's time. They've had the best team probably for the last 3 or 4 years, and this might be it. The band it's gonna have to break up because they're gonna have to pay Purdy. If they're going to get right, it's time.
One more year.
Okay.
One more year. He's got one more before he gets paid.
See, I thought it was the next year.
No, I just heard somebody talking about that just like yesterday or 2 days ago. It's unless they were wrong, and they could have been. I want to say his contract is up next year, after next year. So we're both on San Fran. Yeah, I'm switching mine. I'm not taking Seattle. I don't even know if DK Metcalf is healthy. I want to say he got hurt in that last game, but they did have a bye, so he might be coming back. But I'm still going to take San Fran. I still think 6.5 might be just a little bit too much.
Yeah, you're right. He goes from 900,000 to 1.1 million next year.
Yeah, and then his contract's up. Yeah.
That's the cheapest quarterback ever.
I'm going to take San Fran. We're both on San Fran. All right, Kansas City at Buffalo. This is the matchup. This is what Anthony's been waiting for. He wants Josh Allen to beat Mahomes so bad. Buffalo is straight fire right now. Kansas City's been getting super lucky. They're on the road. I'm going Buffalo. Give me Buffalo.
I'll say this. I don't think it's the best matchup for. Look, I think Buffalo's good because of Josh Allen's their offense has been pretty good because of Josh Allen. Kansas City's got a really good defense. Buffalo don't got a lot of weapons. Can they neutralize that by just having a really good defense? And
is Amari Cooper coming? I think he might.
He just hasn't been effective yet. I don't feel like really effective.
He was out last week.
Yeah. So in saying that, I'm going Buffalo, just because I'm a big Josh Allen fan. But I do wonder if it's kind of maybe a little bit of a matchup situation. But I'll take Buffalo against Kansas City.
I'm still taking Buffalo. For one, I'm a Dolphins fan, so I kind of hate Buffalo just because they've been kicking our ass. They have owned the Dolphins ever since McDermott and Josh Allen have been there. And I've been telling Anthony, especially last year, I thought Buffalo's run was over. But this year, something's different about Buffalo, dude. They are good. And I think the main thing that's different about Buffalo is that Josh Allen's not turning the ball over like he normally has.
That offensive coordinator, when they switched over him, the Joe Brady, the one that orchestrated the LSU deal, dude, it was like overnight.
He got to be the most talked about, the most put on camera coordinator in the whole league, dude.
He deserves it. Look what he did in college.
Every time the Bills are playing, he is always on the screen, dude. They are always showing.
Charlie, it turned it on and off like a faucet. Like
him and Liam Cohen.
They were struggling. They got him. Same team, same everything. It turned their whole season around last year. He was the one that orchestrated the LSU. Maybe the best college football team of all time. Now they had some weapons, but I bet you he's a head coach pretty soon.
All right, last game. Your boys, Cincinnati at the Chargers.
Cincinnati.
Chargers are -1. You better hope they win this game.
They will.
You better hope they do.
They will.
It's a good spot for them because I think the Chargers have been...
T. Higgins going free agent. I did see that today.
What?
The fake injury guy, he's going to free agency next year. It was announced.
Is he back?
Probably not. He's going fake injury the rest of the year.
Fake injury.
I know it's good. I know he's faking. There's issues going on. I'm glad they finally announced it. Get it off the table. I wish they could have signed them both. Everybody knew they couldn't because of salary cap reasons. And so he's just faking injury.
Chargers are good, but I just don't know how good. Hard to read. I love Jim Harbaugh. I want to really like this Chargers team. I like Justin Herbert. But, man, there's something about the Chargers that I just cannot trust still. I know that should probably change now that Harbaugh is the coach. They're on a 3-game win streak here. Really haven't beat anybody, though. Last 3 games, they beat the Saints, the Browns, and the Titans. They lost to the Cardinals, beat the Broncos, lost to the Chiefs, they haven't beat anybody, dude. They really haven't. They beat the Raiders, the Panthers. They lost to the Steelers and the Chiefs. They beat the Broncos, they lost to the Cardinals, beat the Saints, the Browns, and the Titans. Dude, they have not beat anybody. I did not really notice that their schedule was that weak.
I'm reading here T. Higgins might be back. He might be playing so he can get some better contract money.
I'm going with Cincinnati one more time. I mean, I took them last week. They did cover. They covered. Because they were getting like, what, 6?
They've covered a few weeks in a row.
What were they getting last week?
6.
Against Baltimore?
6, yes.
Yeah, so they covered.
They covered against the Raiders week before.
I'm going to go with Cincinnati. Their offense is clicking. Joe Burrow is shredding defenses right now.
They outplayed Baltimore a little bit.
They're 3-2 on the road. They're actually they're 1-4 at home and 3-2 on the road.
They're a good team, dude. They're a good team. They just they're starting to get healthy on defense. Can they make the playoffs? That's the biggest thing. They got a big hole to dig out of. They got a big shovel. When I think of the Chargers, I always think of LT, the running back, but I also think about Arnold switching it when he says, "Go Chargers." Yeah. Go Chargers.
That was pretty good. Oh, that's funny.
You talk about an amazing person. I mean, the guy came here from Austria, I think it was, and he had nothing. He was born after World War II, and that was one of the countries that was really frowned upon because of, the whole Germany thing, and they were part of. He comes here, starts working out, works his way all the way to Mr. Olympian, turns into a superstar actor, can still barely speak English. Then he becomes the governor of California.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is he's a true testament of the American dream, guys.
It's a good story.
And then he marries a Kennedy. He marries he married a Kennedy girl, and can barely still speak English. Guy's a testament of what the American dream is about, and just everything that's good about this country. So, big Arnold fan, love Terminator. He's had a lot of other good movies. Remember Kindergarten Cop?
I love Kindergarten Cop and True Lies.
Yeah.
True Lies was a really good movie.
Good.
He's not a great actor.
He makes it work.
No, he definitely makes it work.
He was a good Terminator. There was nobody else could play Terminator.
Terminator was good. Kindergarten Cop is a great movie, and True Lies is a great movie too. That's a really good movie.
What about The Predator?
The Predator was good.
That whole crew in The Predator was badass. There was the guy that played Apollo and Rocky.
Yeah.
Them dudes were the baddest ass mercenaries there was, son. It was him versus the Predator at the end. He was the only one left. He covered himself in the mud. They kicked his ass.
Yep.
Kicked it. That movie came out the same time Rocky 5 did, because I remember going to the movies and watching Rocky 5 and watching The Predator. I'm going to say that was late 80s.
Yeah, Rambo was coming out around that same time too. That was
John
that was
Rambo.
Good stuff. Yeah. So I'm sitting here real quick. We're about to wrap it up, but I'm looking at the Bengals' remaining schedule.
Who they?
You seen it?
I heard it's doable.
Y'all got very favorable end of the schedule.
Well, we've already played Baltimore twice.
Y'all need to get this win this week. At the Chargers, you need that. Because then you come home, okay, and play the Steelers, but it's at home. That's going to be a tough game. But after that, Anthony, at the Cowboys, that's a bye week.
Cowboy might be getting healthy.
That's a bye week.
They're pretty banged up right now.
They're terrible. If y'all can't beat them, then y'all don't deserve to make the playoffs. At Cowboys, at Titans, at home against the Browns, at home against the Broncos, and then you close it out at Pittsburgh. So besides 2 games against Pittsburgh, and you do got a game this week against the Chargers. Besides those, y'all got to win this game. You got to split the Steelers, and you got to win the rest of the games. That gives you 7 losses, puts you at 10-7.
I think I get you the second wild card.
Barely.
Yeah, barely.
Barely.
Yeah.
That gives you 1 more loss, man. It's doable. 2 games against the Steelers.
It's gonna be hard.
Split that. Win this game against the Chargers. Then you got a Cowboys, Titans, Browns, Broncos. Dude, they can do it. They need this win, though. I'm going to take Cincinnati.
I know y'all think I'm crazy. I'll still say it. I still think I wouldn't put them no top 1 or 2, but I still think they're a top 5, 6-ish team in NFL. I bet you Vegas thinks so. They're playing pretty good football right now. They really are.
Their offense is playing real good.
And their defense is coming along. It don't got to be great because their
That's
offense is
Sunday
so good.
night.
Yeah.
That's Sunday night. All right, well, Blitz the Bookie Parlay. I do like Cincinnati to be added in there. That's a Sunday night game.
Okay.
And I actually really like Philly.
I do too.
It's a Thursday night, though.
Yep, let's do it. I ain't scared.
That's Thursday night, Sunday night.
So
That's
we're gonna-
Philly and Cincinnati. We did agree on Pittsburgh, San Fran, and Buffalo.
I'll throw San Fran in there. I don't feel great about the other ones.
The Buffalo, Kansas City, that'd be a tough one. Pittsburgh and Baltimore, that's tough. Yeah, I'd rather stick away.
Two.
You can go with San Fran, but minus 6.5.
What's two? You just want to stick with two?
Yeah, let's do Cincinnati and Philly. A little night game special parlay.
And then roll that into our 3 college games and play you a 5-teamer.
Hey,
that's a strong 5-teamer. I tell you what, I'm betting that 5-teamer. Now there ain't such thing as a strong 5-teamer. I like those 5 bets. So
Have you been betting the Blitz the Bookie parlays?
I have for the most part. Yeah, there's a few times I missed it just because I forgot about it. But I bet those teams because like usually when you like it, we don't agree on a lot. And so when you like a team and I like a team, it kind of makes me feel good about it. So it's we kind of think 2 different ways, which is good. I think that's kind of what you want with somebody in situations, trying to spitball ideas off from. So
I like it. We are on Florida, Oregon, and Kansas in college, and we're on Philadelphia and Cincinnati in the NFL. I like what Anthony said. Let's roll it together and do a 5-game parlay. We haven't done that yet. Let's try it. So we got a 2-game parlay, a 3-game parlay, and a 5-game parlay. Let's smack them this week, guys. I need it because I know we didn't talk about our bets or whatever last week. I lost my ass. I say I lost my ass. I just had a bad week. I didn't lose too much or whatever, but didn't have a lot of winning bets. So I'm trying to get back in the green this week. So let's find some ways to hit them, Anthony.
Yep.
Keep an eye out. If y'all been watching the Facebook page, we have been putting some picks. It's not like something we do every week, but watch out like on a Friday night, Saturday morning, Sunday morning. Might pop up a couple picks on games that maybe we didn't go over or changes on maybe games that we like the other side now. So keep an eye on Blitz the Bookie Facebook and TikTok. Guys, thank you again for listening. We appreciate you. Keep supporting. And find a way to blitz the bookie this weekend.
Let's do it, guys. Thanks for listening as always. Let's get down towards the end of the year in college football. Super excited about the playoff, guys. I really got thinking about the other day and just really excited about what that's going to bring. Some awesome games during the Christmas break, which a lot of us get time off. It's going to be awesome. If you're an NFL guy, it's going to be a good time to get hooked on college football. So let's do it.
Yeah. All right, we'll see y'all next week. Blitz the bookie.